Alright guys, this video is going to live up to the name of the channel. I don't have a lot of energy, it's really late at night, and unfortunately I don't have any video clips to put in the background, so you're just going to get this raw and uncut. Doom: The Dark Ages is a very interesting topic right now, because the game, while it seems fine and people seem to be enjoying it for those who are playing it, the game is not doing so well on platforms like Steam, and I know Steam is not the only platform that games are on, but it is very curious what this indicates as far as the success of this game going forward. From Insider Gaming, Doom: The Dark Ages is the biggest launch in id Software history, and this is true, but there's a caveat to that. This game obviously launched on Game Pass, which is probably where the majority of people are playing this game, because as you can see right here in this article, it says it was revealed that the latest game in the Doom series has already reached 3 million players, not sales, players. And again, we have seen this verbiage time and time again from games like Assassin's Creed Shadows and other games where they don't want to tell you the sales number specifically. They just tell you, oh, it's reached X number of consoles, X number of players, despite the fact that these games launch on subscription services, which do not make as much money as direct sales of a game. So of course, then when you see Steam numbers, they go, oh, but there's plenty of people playing it on Ubisoft Plus or on PlayStation Plus or on Game Pass. And you go, okay, but you can't report those as sales. And again, this is a tactic. This is why they do this. It's to conflate the numbers and make it look better than it really is. So Doom has been struggling on Steam. This is no secret. Everybody has seen it. And unfortunately for this game, which seems to be a perfectly fine game, there's been a lot of factors working against it. $70 price tag, ray tracing being required on your GPU on a PC, and of course, other things like changing the gameplay mechanics of the game. People are saying that the music isn't as good, so there are some definite criticisms of the game. All in all, it seems like it's probably like a 7.5 or 8 out of 10. I would have played it. My graphics card has no ray tracing, so that's not an option for me. But the game is doing abysmally low as far as the numbers on Steam. If you look at it right now, okay, and I get it, we're in the Tuesday night, it's late in the hours, Tuesday evening. Still, the game hasn't broken a peak of 31,000 players on Steam since it launched. This is abysmal for a game that just came out with the backing again of Microsoft and a developer like id Software, and a franchise with the name Doom attached to it. It doesn't make any sense why there's not more people playing it, except for the fact that I think at the very tip of the iceberg is that $70 entry price to play this game if you're not playing it on Game Pass, which on this situation seems to be where everybody is playing it. Because again, this is something that we're seeing become the norm. We saw this really kick off with the Switch 2, with all the games, being talked about how you're going to get like a $80 digital game or, $70 digital, $80 physical, or, even more expensive than that. We've seen Ubisoft pull crap about how, oh, you don't really own your games. It's just a license to play it. And so it shouldn't shock anybody to see studios trying this kind of crap. But what's funny about it is we have a direct comparison to another game that launched on Game Pass from a much smaller studio that didn't have as much, as high of a budget, I'm sure, as Doom: The Dark Ages, and far less promotional advertising, with Claire Obscure Expedition 33, which, yes, I know some people are sick of hearing about, but guys, it is legitimately a fantastic game. And it cost a fraction, I'm sure, of what Doom: The Dark Ages did, launched on Game Pass, and despite all those similar factors, is already sold over 2 million copies and has, concurrent player count right now of 34,000 people on Steam. And when the game first came out, the first week it was available, it was down at $45 when it launched. Again, similar to games like Split Fiction, Oblivion Remastered, another game that came out on Game Pass simultaneously, and also did phenomenal on Steam. So guys, it's not just, the game's on Game Pass. Great games can come out on Game Pass and Steam, and people are still going to buy them and play them, as you can see just by looking at the numbers. So I think the biggest issue is when people see this lack of value for their money. Look, a lot of people had no problem spending $60 or $70 for the pre-order special edition of Elden Ring a couple of years back, because they knew what they were getting with the game, they were willing to commit to it, and the game is phenomenal. I mean, Elden Ring is one of those best games of the decade kind of situations. In terms of Doom: The Dark Ages, I just don't think people had the love or the, desire to play this game, not knowing enough about how the game was going to play, not thinking that, look, there's so many other games out right now The reality is it came out in a very crowded time, and for $70, it's got to be a phenomenal looking game. People have really got to be looking forward to playing it for them to commit their money to it. So it's really interesting that in the middle of all this, we have idiots like this dude, Randy Pitchford, the CEO of Gearbox, saying that real fans are going to be willing to shill $80 for Borderlands 4. I swear to God, this is like the most tone-deaf, brain-dead thing you could possibly say in the current climate, with the housing market the way it is, with, again, cost of living going up and inflation being what it's always been for like the last 3 years. So this was from a tweet from May 13th. You can see Randy Pitchford here, CEO of Gearbox, saying, "I'm so very excited for the Nintendo Switch 2, and I'm even more excited to bring Borderlands 4 to this incredible, magical machine." I got no problem with that. He's trying to pump up Nintendo of America and the Switch 2. He wants you to buy his game on that system. That's what CEOs do. I got no problem with that. But this person here, Old Gold Sot on Twitter, says, "Randy, this game better not be $80. Don't take that risk. A lot of gamers aren't going to pay $80 and feed this notion of constant increase of the price tag. You are the CEO. You have some say with the price when it comes to your publisher." He then responded, and he should have just said nothing. He responded with, "Not my call. If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store," and here's where he goes into like the full boomer mode. "My local game store had Starflight for Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school, working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor in Pismo Beach, and I found a way to make it happen." I'm sure he was also walking to school uphill in the snow, barefoot, 3 miles each way at the same time, guys. So, of course, he got destroyed in the replies. I said, of course, no way you actually said this shit, back in my day. Everybody, oh yeah, Furtado has this one. Furtanga points out this situation where basically Sony told everyone, if you want to afford a PS3, get a second job, work more hours. People are just completely destroying him in the comments. What's crazy is that there are a few people who are like, well, guys, inflation adjusted, for modern, pricing and stuff. And it's such a completely like retarded argument. When gaming started being a big thing back in the early 90s, mid 90s, and people were actually starting to see more and more games come out every year on their systems and game stores in the mall that would pop up, or you could, see the catalog for like Target and Walmart and all that. At the time, there were far less games and distribution costs were much higher, and video games as a whole had a much smaller audience. There is no justifiable reason for a digital game that is going to be sold to 10 times the number of people to cost $80 in the current market. True Vanguard on Twitter says, "To be clear, I'm a huge Borderlands fan. B1 and B2 especially were formative games for me. That being said, I really hate when super rich people with luxurious lifestyles say stuff like this. Instead of guilting people into spending money, justify the price by speaking about the game's quality. Instead of even a poor person can afford this, maybe say, we're pushing the boundaries of modern gaming and we believe we've made something incredibly special here. We firmly believe an $80 price tag is reflective of the experience gamers should expect from this title." Mudahar says, "Yeah, I'll wait for a Steam sale a year down the game when it's patched up." Epic Mike says, "Except you just pissed off and alienated a bunch of your fan base with your last game. Maybe now is the time for humility." Even people like on different sides of like the Gamergate issue, the political spectrum, you name it, or everyone's joining together to say this guy's an idiot. Paris says, "If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. I may not be a smart man, but if a CEO shrugged with zero empathy and told me, oh well, go figure it out, I'm not buying your product." I slightly disagree with Asmongold on this one, but I get his point. He says, "The funny thing is that it's true for many game franchises, but I don't think it's true for Borderlands. After watching all the trailers and gameplay footage, I just don't see how another mediocre millennial humor looter shooter is worth $80. And I agree with that 100%. It's not. Legacy Killa says, "Fan, Randy, don't sell Borderlands for $80. Randy Pitchford, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen." Of course, oh no, it's Alex says, A, you're the CEO. It literally is your call. Because again, he tried to deflect from the blame. B, if you're a fan of people buying your games, you'd make it happen to not charge $80 for your game. He also says, stop using 1991 game prices as a reason to justify game prices today. It's a false equivalency. And again, I 100% agree with that. It is not, it's a false equivalency. There's no other way to put it. The Act Ma'am says, on par with statements like pride and accomplishment, don't like it, don't buy it. Do you guys not have phones? Legendary Drops responds and says, you forgot my favorite. It's not gambling, it's surprise mechanics. He then responded to another tweet and said, lately, AAA studios and publishers either destroy their reputation through controversy, put their foot in their mouth, or just make bad games. indie publishers have to grin every time they read the news and say, we are the captain now. And again, I think that this is a sign of the times that really the indie scene is going to start kicking off soon, because we're getting more and more great games from indie publishers and developers. And you don't have all of this bad blood with these complete boomer CEOs of these companies attached to them. Gathalion says, I can't defend this. Terrible statement when y'all had nothing but momentum. Should have left it at that's not my call, because it is up to the publisher. Come on, Randy. And my favorite one, Legendary Drop says, we're living in the best timeline. From Devolver Digital, they actually quote tweeted his the article about him saying this with, you're going to be able to buy Mycopunk for you and 3 of your friends for the price of 1 copy of Borderlands 4. Not even kidding, they're advertising their game by saying, oh yeah, well, you can buy 4 copies of our game for the price of 1 Borderlands 4. Absolutely brilliant strategy. I mean, it's great advertising as far as, the marketing goes. That's hilarious. But yeah, guys, I just think that this is, again, a completely tone-deaf, out-of-touch take by another CEO who just doesn't get it. They don't understand that this is not what you do to appeal to your customers. Sure, there are going to be games that have high development costs, and that's unavoidable. For the majority of the video games, though, I think the bloated budgets are something that we really need to see them cutting back on, because we shouldn't have to pay for your incompetence, and that's what it's really being. That's what it's feeling like. We're paying more and more for games these days, where essentially the cost is being shifted to the customer because the developers and the publishers and everyone attached to it have so much bloat and so much wasted money that we are the ones paying the cost for it, when at the end of the day, there are more than enough games out there that nobody should be spending $80 on a video game. But I'll leave it right there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this, and I will catch you guys on the next one. All right, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have 2 channels, Minimal Effort Podcast, as well as my gaming channel. I do have a Twitch and Kick for my gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.